Welcome back to Real Estate 101. Today we're going to continue our discussion on financial planning and talk a little bit about financial planning for the single individual. And I'm pleased to be joined by Jeff Gregory of Desjardins Financial. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Joe.
All right, Jeff, so let's start today's show and discuss financial planning for a single person.
Yep.
What is the first thing they should have in their financial plan?
The first thing any single individual should really have is an emergency fund. An emergency fund that will do about 3 to 6 months of their income, because they're their only liable person to themselves. So to have a backup of savings, so put some money into your tax-free savings accounts, get your 3-6 months of what your expenses may be, save up for that, and just kind of bank it away, because you never know what's going to happen. Ice storms just went through here just recently and stuff like that. So it's good to have that little pot that you can rely upon just in case things get a little tight, rents or a car and all that stuff that do come up in life. So yeah, the 3 to 6 months emergency fund is almost the first mandatory thing any single person should look at doing.
All right, so what challenges does a single person face financially compared to, two people, a couple?
Newlyweds, common laws, married people and so forth. Their greatest challenge is the fact it is one income only. It doesn't matter, your rent is still going to be the same, your car expenses are going to be the same. When you have two incomes, you can kind of mitigate that expense directly on the individual. When you're a single person, all those expenses come onto you. Insurance costs, living costs, food, clothing. You don't have anyone to share expenses with. So the greatest challenge associated with being a single person and a single individual in financial planning is that is the only income I can actually figure out how to spread the wealth on. And it's not like life is getting cheaper. Life is becoming more expensive. It's becoming a heck of a lot more expensive. So, they want to save for their houses, they want to save for this, they want to save for that. But where's the sacrifice going to be then? Is it the car? Is it the staying at your parents longer? Is it getting roommates? There's a lot of other scenarios that do kind of factor into a single person's financial plan that you won't see common in everything else that you may read in the paper. So it's the dual income situation.
All right, so let's talk about taxes. Are there any tax benefits or advantages for a single individual?
Oh, certainly. There's quite a few. So if you're a single individual, and let's say with no kids, okay, so some of the situations is when the government calculates GST, those checks that they send out quarterly, they always calculate that based on a net family income. When you're a single person, over the age of 18, you are your net family income. So if you're over the age of 18, even if you're still living with your parents and so forth, do your tax return, because you count as your own income source. You'll get your GST check. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is if you have children and you're a single parent, then you also get the dependent deduction. You can get the child care deduction. Doesn't matter if the highest or the lowest income, you're the income. So you get those deductions. So there are a lot of tax benefits that won't gear towards highest or lowest anymore. The dependent income being the predominant one, I would think, because when you're married, you don't get to claim your kids, or if you're common law, but when you're single, you do get to claim your children.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about insurance. There's these arguments out there that are made for both for and against whether or not an individual needs insurance. So in your opinion, do they need insurance, and what insurance should they focus on?
I would focus more on insurances that are protecting your income. Because you are the sole income provider, disability insurance. Disability, your greatest asset you have in your life is not the house you have or the car you have, it's your ability to make income. If you can't make income, nothing else matters at that point. So you have to protect it with disability insurance. Make sure you have a proper plan. Just because you have a plan with your company doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to cover everything you need. It covers 2/3 of your expenses, 2/3 of your income. It's tax-free income, but you got to watch the budget. So having that disability income discussion usually gets forgotten. Critical illness is another one. If you're self-employed or so forth and running your own business, disability insurance is kind of hard to come by. Critical illness could be a supplement to that. It's not about being disabled and breaking a leg, it's about an illness. If you break your leg, you're out 3 months. You have a heart attack, you're out 18 months. If you have cancer, it can be longer. And your income in your business and If you're self-employed, your staff and the people you send your business to, they all won't wait. Their lives continue. So those are the two primary ones that I say are really focused. And believe it or not, life insurance is a component single individuals should consider as well.
All right, so you touched on life insurance.
Yes.
Why would a single individual need life insurance?
I'll use a single parent to begin with. The single parent's going to need insurance to cover, if they're no longer there, what they're going to have for their child. There's going to be guardians, there's going to be money left in trust and so forth. You need to ensure that your child is properly provided for. So it doesn't matter if you're married with it. As soon as you have a child, you're going to need life insurance. It's a responsibility of being a parent. There are many different types of insurance, and really do get some advice, and I'm more than happy to help any of the viewers figure out what kind of insurance best fits their needs. If you are not with child, you're just a single individual, life insurance is still a good thing to look at because you still may have debts, you still may have liabilities and so forth. Don't leave that to someone else's responsibility. A small insurance policy covers off funeral expenses as a minimum. You don't want to have to, your parents or somebody, friends or so forth, try to figure out how to pay for your funeral. It's not that you're expecting the ticker tape, but there is an expense to it. Even just go get a small $10,000 policy or $25,000 policy, and that's taken away. That's no one else's responsibility. That might be the only case that's needed.
All right, so because we've talked about life insurance, let's talk a little bit about wills.
Yes.
Does a single person need a will?
I fully believe so. When you have married couples and common law couples and so forth, a lot of times, especially on the powers of attorney, everything will go to the other party. When you're a single person, who does that go to? You're dead. It stays, well, it just stays. So you can't dictate who gets what, or what do you want to go where. Maybe you have nieces and nephews you wanted to give your comic book collection to. That's not said in the will. Doesn't go anywhere. It's probably sold at a garage sale and you don't even know what's going on. So yes, wills are very, very important for single individuals because it's telling what you want done at a time when you can't speak anymore. As well, powers of attorney. Powers of attorney may be even more important than the will, in my opinion, because the power of attorney is your voice when you cannot speak but are still here. So you're incapacitated one way, it could be an accident. The leading cause of most death for anyone under the age of 25 is automobile accident, okay? The same way that most disabilities are created is through automobile under the age of 25. So if you're incapacitated, you're in a coma and so forth, your parents are going to make decisions, but if you don't have a power of attorney, your parents aren't legally able to. They're the rights and they have to apply to the courts. The government makes your decisions. Right? And that's a very dangerous road to kind of travel to say, we'll let the government decide whether to pull my plug or not. Get your powers of attorney. They're not expensive to do. You can change them at any time. Once you're married, once you have kids, etc., it's always a changing thing. But when you're a single individual, you should have a will, you should have your powers of attorney in place just to make sure that you don't be a burden on somebody when you're not here anymore to be a burden on.
All right, Jeff, so any last tips for single individuals watching our show that are thinking about, maybe they need to get their financial planning in order?
Yeah, I strongly recommend if you're a single individual, do sit down with a financial planner, do the financial plan. Many Canadians do not have a properly written financial plan. When you're a single individual, you are your own responsibility a lot of times. You may have kids, but you are your own responsibility. You don't have that kind of backup. So it's really important for you to kind of have a grasp of your retirement planning, your insurance planning, your budgeting, and so forth, because you don't have that backup plan. So really do sit with an individual like myself, a planner who can help guide you to whatever goals you want to hit, but make sure that all the what ifs are covered along the way so that everything you want to be doesn't get derailed by a what if.
All right, Jeff, fantastic stuff. Thanks for coming on today's show.
My pleasure. Thanks
See you again in the new year.
I look forward to it.
So there you have it. If you're thinking about starting your financial planning and you're a single individual, get in contact with Jeff Gregory at Desjardins Financial. I'm your host, Joe Terceira. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.